And where down we go, 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 go. Oh, where down we go, 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 go. So where down we go, way down we go.
You're listening to The Come Up.
Whoa, you let your feet run wild.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on The Come Up, a podcast created to showcase the talents and lives of the best young players on the rise. Today, with me, I have Nate Thompson. I am Michael Gross, and we bring on Junior Midfielder from Tufts University men's soccer. He's a part of the four-time national champions since 2014 for the NCAA Division III men's soccer program. We welcome Zach Seigelstein. Welcome to The Come Up, Zach.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
So you play at Tufts University. That's in Massachusetts, is it? Or do I have that wrong? It's in Massachusetts,
It's
right?
like 15 minutes outside of Boston. It's in a town called Medford.
Okay. So super easy commute. Yeah, I bet, nightlife before the pandemic, at least, was pretty good in Boston area.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I wasn't 21, and
Yeah.
I was kind of strict with the ID that when you're under 21, so I wasn't able to take advantage of it. So the whole COVID thing really stinks, but hopefully next year we'll be able to kind of take more advantage of the city.
Oh yeah, and Boston's a gorgeous city too. It's amazing. It's not New York because I'm from New Jersey. That's where I am now. But you're 100% right. Nothing is New York. But I want to talk to you about your soccer career and just talk about growing up and how you fell in love with soccer. Like you played any other sports or anything, or if soccer was really just that one sport that you fell in love with.
Yeah, so growing up, I played soccer and baseball seriously. My mom and dad, they played basically every sport except for soccer. They played baseball, softball. My mom ice skated, basketball, football, all the above, and except for soccer. I don't know why I really fell in love with soccer, but when the ball was at my feet at a young age, I felt like you kind of have the ability to be super creative with the ball. That's kind of rare in a lot of other sports. I liked baseball a lot too. My grandpa was actually a minor league pitcher for the Dodgers when he played. So he wanted me to go into baseball. I was a pitcher and outfielder. Then when I was about, I think 10 years old, there was a bunch of times where on the weekends I'd be playing both baseball games and soccer games. And at one point my coach was like, you got to pick like a sport. Like it's affecting your soccer, your pitching beforehand, which I totally understood. If I'm pitching 9 innings or whatever, 7 innings, what it was in Little League, and I have to come straight from that baseball game to a soccer game, my head might not be as in it as it would be otherwise. So I ended up choosing soccer, obviously. And yeah, I've always loved the game. Playing with a team has been unbelievable. And those kind of qualities for me and just being with the ball have really made me fall in love with the game.
So you made the pick, and looking at your stats from the Grad School Academy team that you played with, yeah, 3 goals in 9 games. I mean, as a midfielder, you find the back of the net quite a bit, even throughout college too. What was that like growing up for an academy team?
Yeah, so I played academy till I was 16. I absolutely loved it at first. And then I kind of just felt like I needed to switch just because of things with the team and just things with the coaches at the club. So I ended up changing to a club team called Manhattan Soccer Club, which is where I played my sophomore, junior, and senior year. For Gotchi, I was playing a left forward in a 4-3-3 formation. And then for the majority of my time at Manhattan Soccer Club, I was playing attacking midfield, the 10, or a little bit out wide as well, but majority the 10. I was really fortunate enough because the year I left Gotchi, my sophomore year, to play for MSC, we actually won a national championship that year.
Oh, wow.
So that was very exciting. But yeah, I enjoy scoring goals. Like my teammates will tell you, like I like to shoot the ball a lot. I like to make things happen. I like to be creative on the ball and kind of. I'm a kind of player that doesn't really like to. I like to go forward, not as much backward. But if I need to go backward, I will.
Did you ever go in as a defensive player earlier in your career, and were you just like, I don't like this. I like putting the ball in the back of the net. I like running through the defense and stuff like that. I
mean, I'll play anywhere. I played my senior year. I trained with NYCFC, their academy team, and they had me playing center back just because that's kind of where they needed me to play. I played defensive midfield when I played U23 in high school. I was playing right back and the 6, CDM. So I can really play anywhere, but I just like being in the attacking part of the field because you get to be more creative there, and you might be at a right back position or a CDM where you have to play a little more safe. And I like kind of that option to do what I want and get people involved and shoot, assist, those kind of things.
You mentioned before, just real quick, Nate, you mentioned before your grandpa played in the minor leagues for the Dodgers. What was his name?
His name was Eddie Picker. His real name is Edwin Picker.
Okay.
I'm not sure what would come up, but I think he actually ended up winning, like, I'm not sure what you call a minor league World Series, but he won one of those. Like, he still wears the ring on his pinky he doesn't take it off.
As he shouldn't.
And then he met my grandma, and he chose my grandma over baseball. I think he would have kept going and might have been able to progress to a higher, maybe AAA or the majors, but he stopped. But yes.
Wow.
So you talked about the switch from academy to high school, and I'm reading an article. I have it up right now. It says you were part of the Bronx Science boys varsity team, who are also members of the #1 ranked boys soccer club team in the nation, the MSC.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the realization that you could go to the next level, whether it was D3, D2, D1?
Honestly, like, no, if I'm being honest. Like, our gotcha team, I knew I wanted to play college soccer since I was 13 years old, and that was kind of my goal. And, like, I'm sure we can get into my recruiting process later, but I kind of started off set on Division I, and I kind of knew since I was 13, but I knew since I was 13 that I wanted to play college soccer. And just based on kind of, like, my recruiting process and kind of just how I knew our team standard was and just how my coach had spoken to me, I knew since I was 13 or 14 years old that I had the ability to play college soccer. So I wouldn't say that was kind of the moment I realized. I kind of knew for a while, but I think that was definitely a moment where kind of cemented when we won the national championship, that I was like, wow, this is special. It's going to be a fun ride.
Kind of rolling into the recruiting process. You chose Tufts, obviously, and you've been a 2-time champion for them. What other schools were you looking at? Because I know I read something else that was like you weren't set on Tufts till it clicked at some point. Like, you were looking at D1 schools. There were some things at Tufts. What was it like?
Yeah, so I'll go through my kind of entire recruiting process. So I played U16 soccer as a sophomore. And then basically what happened was after that year, the club age range changed from May to May. So pretend the cutoff was May 1999 to May 2000, and it changed to years. So the cutoff now is 99s was one age group, and 2000 was one age group. So I jumped from U16 to U19 at Manhattan Soccer Club because there was no U18 team. And if you know much about the college recruiting process in soccer, U17 and U18 are the years where college coaches can watch you, because as a U19, your people are seniors or they're almost taking like grad years, stuff like that. So I went from a sophomore to basically a team that college coaches should never watch as a U19 program.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to get seen at a couple sophomore ID camps and whatever, not ID camps, sorry, more like showcases with my team.
Okay.
And then my junior year, I was really set on playing Division I soccer. And Tufts was one of the first schools to see me, and I visited and I had a campus tour. This was as a sophomore, so I couldn't actually meet with the coach. And my tour guide, like the normal tour guide, was like super weird. And I was like, you know what, maybe this school isn't for me. I say this to people all the time, like the people who you choose to represent your school is like very important. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
the people,
That's true.
and the person who gave me the tour guide was a little weird. I was like, this is how much is for me. I ended up, just in terms of Tufts, I ended up visiting another 2 or 3 times just because I was in the area. And I ended up falling in love with not only the school, but most of the people and the coach. Everyone tells you not to choose a school because of your coach. But I think we have a different coach now who has the same ideas and values as our old coach, has been unbelievable. But our old coach, I think he's a major reason why a large majority of us chose Tufts. And I think it's generally the best decision I made in my life. But sorry, just back to your question in terms of what schools I was looking at. So I knew from the very beginning I wanted a very high, rigorously academic school. So there were a bunch of Division I schools that reached out to me, whether that was, like Big East schools, some like more like local schools, like in New York. One was actually Dayton as well. And I kind of I didn't really pursue them because I knew I wanted something a little bit of a higher academic standard, just because I'd pushed myself very hard in high school. I was looking at Colgate and off from Colgate very early on in my junior year. And then with Harvard, I was looking at them very intently. And they basically told me, they weren't going to put a chip in for me, but that if I applied to the school, they would write me a letter of recommendation. And that if I made it into the school with that letter of recommendation, I'd be on the team just like a normal recruit. That wasn't a choice I was willing to take, mostly because I fell in love with the Tufts team and the coaching staff. But I had that offer from a couple other Ivies as well, who hadn't even seen me play. They just kind of knew of me through my coach, and they were like, "Hey, if this kid gets into school, like he's got a spot on the team." But yeah, I was also very close to Northwestern as well. But my mom tells me this all the time, like everything happens for a reason. I was basically going to commit there, and what happened was they wanted to see me play one more time to make sure like I was that player they wanted, and they flew in from Chicago to watch one game. We lost 4-0. I didn't touch the ball. I played horrible, probably one of the worst games of my life. Obviously, it didn't happen, and that was like at that time that was like a huge like disappointment. But like looking back at it, I could not be happier that it happened the way it did. Again, Tufts was the best choice I made in my entire life. So I'm very happy that it happened the way it did.
Yeah, and it's all about the academics too, right? Because you hold yourself at a high standard for academics just as much as you probably hold yourself at a high standard for soccer. And you had all those other great schools looking at you too, and that you were looking at. But many people forget that collegiate athletes are also student athletes, right? That being said, you're a student first. What was I want to talk about what was life like as a student wise at the Bronx School of Science, and how much more difficult did it become at Tufts when the workload and responsibilities as an athlete kind of increased tremendously?
Yeah, sorry, just wait 1 sec. Sorry about this. Aiden, wait, just give me like 5 minutes. You're good. First of all, like again, in terms of the recruiting, a big reason why I chose Tufts is because it was Division III. I was very set on going Division I at first. And I kind of realized as I went through my process that maybe Division III is more of what I want. And at first I was really scared to kind of pursue that because I knew I'd been working towards this my entire life kind of since I was 12, 13 years old. And I thought the label of Division III didn't really suit me. Like I kind of thought it'd be a little bit of disappointment to my friends and my family. And I talked to people about it. And I kind of just realized that this is what I want, like the opportunity to kind of have a normal college lifestyle. Tufts, I personally think, talent-wise, in terms of the soccer, is a very like high mid-tier Division I talent school. Like in terms of the actual level of soccer, I think we can compete with a lot of Division I teams. And so I get the soccer with that, and also the opportunity to have like a life outside of school. So I guess toward the end of my process, I was looking a lot more at Division III schools like U Chicago. I almost went to Chicago as well, Brandeis. But that was another thing. So for me, I think being able to be a student, actually able to take advantage of the clubs, if there was, whether that be Greek life or just like other types of clubs, and having that off season where you can kind of actually be a college student and have fun with your friends. Because I know I'm not going pro. I always knew that. Like when I was like 15 years old, and it's like I didn't need that. I didn't feel the need to have a Division I lifestyle be year round. So just sorry, back to your question in terms of what it's like. It's honestly, I think the schoolwork itself is sometimes easier to get done during the season because you're on a much more regimented schedule as terms of when you're out of season, you have a lot more time. I think it also really depends on the major. I'm an econ major. I honestly am not a huge fan of it. I just did it because I knew I liked numbers going into college, and we don't have a business school. We have no marketing. I want to go into the sports industry, that we had no kind of sports management, nothing like that. So I was like, you know what? This is broad. I'll go into economics. Have not loved it so far, but I'm dealing with it. It's very manageable. I think the majority of the kids on the team would tell you the same thing in terms of their schoolwork being manageable with soccer, which is also why it's really nice that we have the off season where we just kind of lift and have captains practices. Obviously it's different during COVID, but in the past you lift 3 or 4 times a week and you have 2 or 3 captains practices a week, because in the NESCAC, which is our soccer conference, coaches are not allowed to be present during the off season. Obviously, again, that's different right now because of COVID, but just in the past, that's what it was like.
Yeah. And the sports management, is that something that you wanted to do for a while? Or is that something that's just kind of sat there in the back of your head saying, if I can get through these college years academically, that's maybe something I want to pursue?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds stupid, but I think a lot of kids grow up wanting to be like a sports agent because of like movies and stuff. And that kind of faded for a while. I was like, it doesn't really seem possible or whatever. And again, I took economics, and through my internships, I've realized that I love that side of the business in terms of the sports management or sports partnerships, not because of all the glamour around in these movies, because they're nothing like the movies, honestly. It's nothing like that. It's more about, I like thinking analytically, which is why I'm an econ major, but being able to use that data and analytics to connect with people and audiences is something that I really provides me joy. And doing that through sports, which I've always been a huge role in my life. Sports have the power to connect people of all diversities, religious backgrounds, political views. It's one of the few things in the world that has the ability to do that. I'm sure you've heard of Nelson Mandela's quote. I can't quote it, but I think it's used in Invictus or something. It's with how sports have the power to bring people together and stuff. But yeah, I guess I kind of was debating between going like the traditional econ finance route with banking and then or sports. I kind of just realized last year that, like, screw it, let's do what I'm passionate about, even though this other option might be a little bit more lucrative or a lot more lucrative, but I'd rather be doing something that I enjoy. So
yeah, smart.
Zach, you're pretty much made for the moment. Let's be real here. They might as well call you Zach Sweet 16 Seigelstein, because your freshman year, you netted your first collegiate goal in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. And then your sophomore year, you score the overtime game winner 74 seconds into the game versus Washington and Lee. It's unbelievable to like even speak those words, honestly. What was it like scoring your first goal as a freshman in the Sweet 16? And then we'll talk about the game winner.
Yeah, I mean, the first goal was just really, really awesome because we had a big crowd. We're also playing our biggest rivals. I don't know if you guys know anything about Tufts Amherst, but it's very similar to like UNC Duke in that sense, in terms of with soccer. It's there's been a lot of battles, a lot of games. They've beaten us sometimes. They beat us earlier this past season. They beat us earlier in the season before we ended up beating them in the national final. And it was a great play. I believe it was Derek Engie. He took a shot. It was very fortunate to bounce. It was a rebound, came right to me, and I finished it. But it was very, very exciting. My parents were there, which was awesome because they live in New York. They made the trip to Boston. And that was kind of like, I think that made the game 2-0, which was kind of like the ceiling goal. We ended up winning 3-0 with another consolation goal, but that one kind of took the weight off our shoulders. And it was very exciting to help the team win that game.
Kind of rolling into the sophomore year one where you scored 74 seconds into overtime. Let's talk about that game and how like the lead up. I mean, obviously you go through the 90 minutes tie game. You're like, oh boy, we're in the Sweet 16. It's overtime. We got to do something.
Yeah. So that game we had an interesting year that year during the tournament, just because both that game and the game before that, we came back from deficits, which is something we're not super used to, but we got used to it last season. It happened a lot during the regular season as well. But in my freshman year, we rarely went down. And last year we did go down and we were able to pull it out, which was nice that we were able to fight against some diversity. But that was a frustrating game just because the first half, we just had nothing going on. Their goal was an absolute screamer, like an unbelievable goal. I hit the post twice in the first half, post once, crossbar once, and overtime happened. And you can kind of feel the momentum swinging. You could feel it swing. And I just got in a good position again. Our left back, Drew Stern, made a great run past a couple people. And I got in the box and, I was like, I just got to shoot the ball. Hopefully it goes in. And I think it ended up making the keeper and going in the corner. And that was a big win for us just because it was also great that it happened so early in overtime. I get like PKs are not our favorite thing, as I'm sure most players will tell you. We had been in PKs the year previous in our conference tournament. We actually lost the penalty kicks the first round of the conference tournament the year before. And fortunately, we have not had to go into penalty kicks again. But that was just, that not only was a relief, but it was a great win. And we ended up, I think we took that momentum the next day into our Elite Eight where we scored 3 minutes into the game, which was super exciting. We ended up winning that game 4-0, which was like a comfortable win, which is very different from the previous games.
You mentioned PKs. Do you play any FIFA at all? And do you have nightmares about them?
I used to play a lot of FIFA, and so like FIFA 18 came out. I don't know why. I just hated that game. And 19, 20, I just don't like anymore. But the earlier FIFAs I used to love, but I don't like them anymore.
Yeah. I love them too. But Nate's one to tell you. FIFA between him and I, we get very angry when we have to go to overtime or penalty kicks, whatever it is. Luckily you didn't get to go there. The fact that you scored 74 seconds in, just made sure to close it out and say, okay, yeah, we're not getting there, because it's not something anybody likes, like you said.
No one likes it. I don't think a single person who likes it. Yeah. Like the PKs during game, by all means, like I love them. I take them with our team. I split them with some other kids. I take them during penalty shootouts as well. But it's just a brutal way to end the game. It's just a brutal game.
So we opened up some questions to our Twitter base. It's not super huge, but we opened up some questions, and we got one question from Caleb Munsky, who is now captain and a defender here at Oswego on the soccer team. And he said, winning the championship once is an incredible feat, but to do it twice is nearly unheard of. When during that second season did you feel as though repeat was in your cards, and what did you do to make sure that your team went back in and sort of took the championship again?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's right. It was a little surreal. I felt I was very happy with the second championship as well, just because I felt like I had more of an impact in winning that one. But both were absolutely amazing. I don't know if there was ever a time that clicked, just because the way our culture with the team is kind of, you take one game at a time. Like obviously it's always, you go into the season, like I'll tell you right now, like we want to win a national championship next year. We want to win a national championship this year. But after that first day of the practice, like we're not thinking about that. We're thinking about the game that weekend or practice the next day. Like that's not how we really think about things. And frankly, there was a time last year where I think we went 4 games with 2 losses and 2 ties. We had a really bad streak during the middle of the season where it dropped us a lot in the rankings, and we just weren't playing well. And, we kind of refocused. We had meetings within our teams, like without the coaches I'm talking about. We had meetings amongst the players to kind of fix it, and we ended up fixing it. I don't think we lost or tied a game the rest of the season. And I think there's just something really special about our team where when the tournament comes around, whether it be the conference tournament or, the NCAA tournament, we kick into another gear. Not to say that we aren't trying the rest of the season at all, but there's definitely another gear that comes in, a type of competitive spirit where that energy of the back-to-back games every weekend and that kind of thing is very important. But you don't look ahead to the next game. You focus on the one game. And I think also I think a big reason for our success is just because of our culture within our team. Like it's gonna sound super corny, but like it's so special. It really is special. Like I don't think I played on a team since I was 9 years old that is amazing in terms of the people that are on this team. Everyone is bought in. I think we're all pretty humble about how we play and stuff. What's really great is that we're all able to recognize our strengths and weaknesses. Like you ask someone on the team what their weaknesses, they'll flat out just tell you. And it's really nice because being able to embrace those and address them allows you to work on them and kind of allow other people to complement maybe your weaknesses with my strengths or something like that. And it's always extremely competitive during practice. But the thing that's remains the same is like we're all super, super close knit. There's no hierarchy from seniors to freshmen. The freshmen are expected to do just as much as the seniors. If a freshman needs to scream at a senior because they're not doing their stuff, like by all means, like that's how it works. There's no kind of hierarchy. It's very competitive, but at the same time, we have a lot of fun. Like we create an environment during training where it's balls to the wall, like you're flying at each other, but you should be doing it with a smile on your face. So I know it's a tangent, but there's never really a moment where it clicks, I'd say, until the final whistle blows. Like you're kind of sweating the whole game. It never really clicks. It's just you have to do the things to get there, I would say, and just take one step at a time. And that's kind of how we approach it.
Yeah. And, a lot of things are taking one step at a time. And you talk about the camaraderie on the team, probably the best chemistry what are you thinking that you've ever had on a team in general too?
Yeah, it's very special. I have a lot of friends who play college soccer as well. And I can just tell you for a fact that their experience has not been remotely similar to mine.
Well,
to be fair, I don't think many people have them, but
yeah, you've had 2 championships there in your first 2 years. But in your third year, you didn't get to play, right? The season canceled due to COVID. Discuss like the emotional roller coaster, that you guys probably went through as a team. But you mentioned the chemistry and everything. You guys probably still tried to find the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're almost there. We're almost out of it. But I'm sure your mindset from the beginning wasn't defeated. You guys are winners, and you guys know that you're going to get through it and eventually come back stronger, right?
Yeah, I mean, it sucked. It did suck. However, I don't think it was unexpected, especially for personally. I'm a pretty realistic guy, and I guess that first week we were sent home, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we're getting sent home. Like, we'll have online school and we'll be back in the end of the year. And then as April hit, May hit, I was like, you know what? There's a chance we're not gonna have a season. Like, you have to start considering that. All the meantime, you got to stay fit and whatnot. And I think our season was officially canceled June 15th, around that time. And I mean, personally, for me, it didn't come as a surprise. I don't think it came as a surprise to most people. But we kind of, obviously it stunk, but the fact we weren't able to play, but just being able to practice on the field all together and being like with the boys, like for us, I think that means a lot as well. So obviously we miss kind of competing and playing on the field and game days, everything. The families and friends supporting us in the stands. We miss that a lot. I know my parents might miss the season more than I do, honestly. Every week they're like, I cannot believe we're not up there watching you. I'm like, it's okay, Mom. It's okay, Dad. Like, next year, hopefully, like, we'll have a season. But yeah, it stunk. It stunk. But again, we're back on the field. We're able to actually play contact now, which is nice. I'm not sure if you guys do that at Oswego, but we basically weren't able to play contact the entire fall semester. Wow. So we were in cohorts of 10, and it's like a lot, obviously drills, because you can't play keep away or go to goal or any of that type of stuff. So we're able to play contact now, and we're just gearing kind of our coach is emphasizing the fact that we haven't played a competitive game in like a year and a half now, so it's time to really ramp it up.
So COVID hit. What was it like not being able to chase that three-peat for 3 straight years?
It wasn't great. I mean, I think this is gonna sound a little funny to you, but like, I think our mindset, especially as juniors who went 2 for 2, like our mindset once we won 2 was like 4 for 4. Like, that's kind of how we think. Again, like we don't take one day at a time, but that was the ultimate goal. At the end of the day, again, you can't go 4 for 4 anymore, but 3 for 3 is now the goal. If we can say 3 for 3, that's kind of where we want to be. Again, we take it one day at a time, but that is the ultimate goal. And I think we would have obviously had the chance to go have 4 opportunities, just because, we always want to improve on what the last class did. I think our last class won 3 national championships, so we want to win at least 3. So hopefully we can do that next year. We'll see.
So you talk about the 4 for 4, and then you talk about the 3 for 3. Is this insinuating that you're not going to come back for another year for grad school?
That's not the plan currently. No one in our class took, actually that's a lie. A couple people in our class took a gap semester. Our entire senior class took a gap year so that they could play next year. I am a little bit up in the air. I currently have been enrolled in class this entire year. So, but we'll see how next year goes, and kind of if I have a job at any point, that'll definitely play an impact as well. So yeah, we'll see. It's not out of the question, but it's currently not part of the plan. But again, it's never out of the question.
Yeah, I mean, that's important, right? The academics and everything. But either way, I want to go a little off topic here. We looked on your Tufts site, and you got like your favorite place on campus, your favorite athlete, your favorite meal. I'm not even going to question where the dirty loo is. I don't even know if I want to know about that.
That was our dorm last year.
Okay.
Everyone knows as dirty loo. Yes.
Okay.
Haven't been updated since last year, but yes. That's
a funny name for that. But the one thing I wanted to ask you about was the pregame superstition. You got 3 jumps before the game, and then the right sock and shoe first. Why 3, and why the right sock?
I don't know. 3, I just like the number. My favorite number is 9, 3 times 3. But that's not, I couldn't even include, I am for a fact the most superstitious kid on the team. I wore the same clothes to every single game. Like I'm talking down to the underwear. I wear watch. I eat the same. If we're having a away game, I'm having 3 clementines before each game. Wow. I do the same exact thing every night before a game. I'll eat the same thing for breakfast. And I go to the bathroom in the same bathroom. Like it's everything down. I pee at the same exact time before every single game in the same exact place. And I'm talking like when we get to the field, like I probably have about 40 to 50 superstitions. I don't know why. They just help me. Like by having superstitions for me, it's like I'm getting prepared by like doing them. I have to do a certain amount of or a certain amount of stretching. Like it's crazy. I am crazy, but I do a lot of I'm very superstitious because so those are 2 of the many things I do.
I did the same thing in high school, superstition wise. I'm sure Nate did a little bit as well. Yeah. Nate's superstitious with baseball. I mean, I'm superstitious with watching baseball. I ran track in high school. I didn't really play any other sports. But I had the same superstitions as you. Same underwear or like the spandex that I wore underneath. Ate the same food. Went to the same bathroom, like the stall or whatever it is. I get that. I'm with you there. I'm a superstitious guy. Do you get it from like your father or something like that, or someone in your family? It's just you.
Where I get it from, but it's definitely taken hold of me.
And then one more or a couple more. You also had your hobbies on here: underwater basket weaving and extreme ironing.
That was a freshman thing. I thought I was being funny. I got to change it. I haven't had the chance to change it.
Oh, so that was like the seniors said, go out and put something funny on there.
It wasn't even that. Like it was more just like we just wanted to put some stupid thing because our commentators have to say that. They're like, oh, like here's the freshman entering the field, Zachary Seigelstein, who likes underwater basket weaving. I got a kick out of that. So
I know. Listen. I'm a broadcaster here at Oswego, and I would get a kick out of it too. Think about it. Like you go and talk about. Have you ever tried underwater basket weaving before?
No, but there are some on our bio that are actually like very, very funny. I think Will Rayfields is very funny, I believe, who's one of my close friends. He's in our class. I think his bio is very funny. I forget exactly what it says.
Will says his favorite pregame meal is knight to e5. His favorite superstition is rook to r7, and then knight takes pawn d9 check.
Yeah,
for his hobbies.
It's all chess. His entire bio is just chess moves.
He's a chess grandmaster. I love that. I love that. Nate?
So kind of talking about the grandmaster. Do you follow March Madness at all?
Oh, yes. I've been watching all day. I haven't left my bed.
I feel that. I've been watching March Madness all day, too, even throughout my class. But since you've been involved in it, who's taking the cake? Who's going to be the best college basketball team?
That's tough for me. I don't like watch a lot of regular season college basketball. I have Zaga winning, which I know is like front runner, whatever. I've watched them play a lot, and they have the best team I've seen them have maybe ever since my lifetime. Like they are unbelievable. My only issue with them is they haven't lost yet, and I think a very important part of winning, in my opinion, you don't have to lose, of course, but I think it helps to lose at some point. And they can't lose anymore. I think that really reset us during our season when we lost. In our freshman year, we were 18-0-2 before conference play. Then we lost to penalty kicks. I believe that counts as a tie in soccer. Like we went 18-0-3, but losing in penalty kicks, like that kind of, that motivated us. Like we didn't want to lose again, which helped us during the tournament. And they don't have that. I mean, I'm sure they have from their last 3 years playing or whatever. Or, it depends on the team. I think it really depends on the team. I have them winning it all. Just I think they have the most talent and they play the best together. But anything can happen. Again, literally anything could happen.
That's smart.
You never know what can happen. And I mean, to credit them, the only other team to have a perfect season was the Indiana Hoosiers, coached by Bob Knight back in 75-76. They went 32-0 in the only unbeaten season in college basketball history. So just to show you how rare it is and how difficult it is to do, right?
Yeah.
Zach, we want to thank you for coming on the Come Up. And it was really fun doing this. And honestly, if we're ever in the Boston area, we might have to go and take up some underwater basket weaving.
Oh, please do. Yes.
Honestly, I'd love it if you came and joined us for that.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice meeting you guys.
Appreciate it, Zach. From Nate Thompson and Michael Gross and Zachary Siegelstein, this has been the Come Up. Thank you for listening. All right.